problem issues today about the corporate market. They know a lot about MPLS, they know about private networks, because they usually, more and more companies are studying the way to switch their network from MPLS to internet. You have to manage this connection to the cloud. Okay, so let me introduce myself. So I'm Charley BOURON, I'm from Navigacom. I've been in Navigacom since 2010, and I'm mission director and the network and security lead of Navigacom. So a few words. So I think I'm the last presentation of the day, and I think I won't separate you from the cocktail. So I will take. I will be as shorter as possible. So just a few words about Navigacom. So Navigacom is born 18 years ago by Catherine. So created by Catherine Luca, who is here in the room. So it has been created to fill a gap between service providers and companies, especially to assist companies to their infrastructure and especially network and security purpose. So we work on all the life cycle of the infrastructure projects. So from the community watch to be able to have some benchmark and some point of view of the market. And then we work for our customer to define their strategy, so roadmaps, innovation management. And then we make for them study. Of course, which is a big part of our job. I think some of you have already worked with us on this topic. So we manage a lot of RFPs for our customer. And of course, other rollout projects, so transformations and optimization project, technical ones and financial ones. So our customers are mainly corporates, CAC 40 and SBF 120. And of course, we work, I think, I'm not sure about the figure, but I think it's more than 60% of the CAC 40. And so in the panel, I wanted to know how many corporates are in the room. How much of you? So one, yeah. Okay, so basically a lot of service providers. And I think it's one of our problem issues today about the corporate market. They know a lot about MPLS, they know about private networks, because they usually buy it through managed services. But now it's the internet world. And most companies don't have any people educated through the internet world. They don't know the internet world, they don't know how it works. So one of our major activities today, and I think it has been since 2 or 3 years, is to educate some of corporates to help them accessing to the cloud. So I will present specifically a point of view from a corporate perspective. It's mainly all the projects, all the discussion we have with them. It's really important to understand that for you, it will be perhaps a communication, a point of view to have in mind when you will enter the building of a corporate to discuss about your offer, to understand that mainly it's not. So we talked about it this morning. They are not all geeks. They have to be approached with a business point of view. So in Navigacom, we addressed we address three major topics: so cloud infrastructure, network and security, and unified communication. So I will go through mainly network managers are two main difficulties today in their department. So the first one is to assist their business and the infrastructure to go to the cloud. Cloud is a buzzword. It's not a buzzword. It's a reality. So there are a lot of cloud offers. They are mainly driven by the business and not by the IT department. So they have to address and to be able to manage the connection to the cloud and with the same delays that in infrastructure. So, for example, if a VM has to be has to be created in 10 minutes, by 10 minutes, the network has to be available in 10 minutes. So it's quite obvious for network guys as us that it's not that simply. It's not that simple. And the second one, it's another evolution, which is really so older, I think, but it's really a major point now. It's the hybridization of the network. So now, more and more companies are studying the way to switch their network from MPLS to internet. Not all of them, not the whole network, but they want to be able to go to internet. So these are the major points they have to handle these days. So the main point is now, for years, companies have managed their infrastructure really easily. They have a data center, their own, or through a service provider, an hoster, and they have strategic assets. And to connect these strategic assets, they have the MPLS network provided by a telco providers, private, with SLAs, with control. So this is a cloud for them. They just have a control cloud. They don't have to manage the different interconnection, the NNIs. They just have to be aware that for from point A to point B, they will have X milliseconds of delay and this ratio of packet loss. So they had the high connections, the high quality connections. They have the guarantee, and they have the best for them. They have the best user experience. But then comes the cloud. So, driven by the business, cloud is easy. You can buy it through with a credit card directly to the portal of your service providers. But now, how do we connect? So the basic point is you can connect it through internet. It's really easy. You can manage it by internet. So some companies have migrated their strategic asset to the cloud. But then, how do you manage the quality? So main points on corporates, the main point is the asset is migrating to the cloud, but we don't have any control of the path. So most of the companies, most of the large companies can't afford this situation. They have to have a control about their path, about their quality, and that they have to be aware that if they put services in the cloud, they have to manage the network also. It's not just a cloud you connect through something, we don't know what. They have to manage their connectivity. So the basic and the first topic we observed with the corporates, first message is that cloud infrastructure is not magical. The first one, they have to be aware that cloud infrastructure is data centers. And for some companies, it's a revolution. You know, through Google, AWS, we talked about a lot of providers today. All these providers are for them cloud, multiple infrastructure, but they don't know how do they manage it. It's just data centers. So for us, it's data center, so it has to be managed as a different, as on-premises services. So it's a data center, it's like a classical outsourced services. It just, there is more constraints about connection to these specific providers. So you have to manage this connection to the cloud. Second, and the first step to understand the cloud solution is to know how do the cloud provider manage their services. So it's the first step to understand the service. Are they only monolithic services? So you can provide only one instance of the service on one data center. Is it distributed? So you can have the service in different data centers. And the third one, it's quite the same as the second, but some service provider, cloud service providers, can propose network interconnecting their own data centers, and then build the service as a cloud for their customer. So what we say to the corporate is that they have to know which cloud service providers they want to target, and then how do they manage their infrastructure. And on top of that, when you have the footprint and the money from your cloud service provider to manage their infrastructure, you have a toolbox. The toolbox is composed of four main elements, four main components. The first one, you can use, of course, internet accesses, IP transit, classical IP transit to connect your cloud service providers. So it's the standard one. Second one is also classical. It's to rely on your MPLS provider to connect to your cloud service provider. Mainly, it will be used to connect private cloud service provider or community service providers. And which is new for the corporates, it's the two other components. The first one is to connect an IX, so FranceX, TOSX, MSK-EX links. So to connect an IX to be able to be at one step of your cloud service providers. So it's simple. On the first step, you don't have to go deeper in the technical. You just have to maintain the way to maintain a discussion at that level to make business mainly understand how do they enhance their connection. It's the basic one. And then you can have also direct peering to connect directly to the CSP privately and have a specific connection to one providers and some other mainly core MPLS services can also propose some one-to-end connection, one-to-end providers connection, but they are not really addressed today by our customer because they don't want their security to be managed by the providers. They want to manage ourselves their provider. So, on top of that, so the goal of the company is to build this infrastructure to be able to interconnect their cloud service providers. So this toolkit has to be built with you, service providers, to enhance the connectivity to the cloud service providers for the customer. And then there are a lot of pattern of application and service pattern built by the customer himself. So they can use a different way of the service, different service, and build their service on top. For example, if you have some monolithic service, so you use a monolithic service, and you will, for example, even if your CSP is distributed, you can choose to use only one instance of your service providers. And it will be you will have some difficulties about latency, of course, because all your users will have to connect to your single instance. Of course, you could optimize that by, for example, use a CSP network, or to enhance, of course, your connectivity. The second one is if you use distributed service application, you have to manage the distribution of your content, which could be a nightmare for you, for your customer, and it has to be assisted to build this kind of architecture. So mainly it's a purpose of data localization, data synchronization, and of course managing the geolocation and the peering of the content. And of course, you can also use your CSP provider, but you will be in the same pattern with your MPLS provider. You won't be able to track the real path of your service. So corporates have to build the global catalog to be able to handle each situation and to choose the best path for them, and a first one, a main one, a backup one, or several backups if it's really important, and to be able to pass through the traffic with the best quality as possible. So, as a conclusion, I think we talked a lot about the cloud service connection, but now, in a corporate point of view, they are just focused on their data centers. So mainly they want to connect their data centers to the cloud service providers. So they are using mainly peering services, private or through IX, but only through their data centers. But now then, there is hybrid networking. They want to choose the best local loop on branch sites to be able to have the best price for each site. So they're using not only MPLS, but of course they're using internet. And then you just have the problem in another step. You have another problem, which is not connecting 5, 6 data centers in the world, but perhaps to connect 1,000 sites to the cloud service providers. It's now the real problem of the corporates. So now they have to manage their quality of connections for them to use. So business browsing, for example, to use business applications. They have to manage CSP connections. They have to manage site-to-site connection, which is really not considered by the network service manager in corporates. They have to manage their VPN community quality. And it's quite obvious that if you want to pass VoIP video through your internet local access, it will be really difficult to to manage a real good user experience if you don't manage your peering. So, for me, in the case of hybridization, what corporates need now for their for their networks, they want they have to do setup study. So when they are building a new architecture, they have to, of course, study and to manage their architecture. And of course, in a runway, they have to have day-to-day monitoring to be able to control if their situation has changed or not, if they have a good policy, good peering policy, if they have no issues about one transit provider or one CSP. They have to control all the path from their user to their content. Okay. So thank you for your attention. Do you have any question? Thank you.